The Indian BPM industry has come a long way in the last decade and has made continuous efforts to meet the changing customer needs. Hello and welcome. You're watching the Business World's second BPM India Summit held recently in Mumbai. It was a great platform to discuss and deliberate upon a few issues and ideas on the topic charting the next generation customer service experience. Here's a look at the welcome address.
Ladies and gentlemen, to give a beautiful head start to this morning and to initiate the proceedings of today's summit, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Gurpreet Singh, Executive Editor, Business World. Can we have a huge round of applause? Please help me welcome on stage Mr. Gurpreet Singh.
BPM initially was seen as functions, as processes which improved the workplace, which improved the processes and the output of a manufacturing process. And as opposed to a hierarchical system where you sort of improve the functions in such a way that it became more efficient, became more productive. Traditionally, it was to do with the actual office functions, the manufacturing functions, the team leadership, the key skills and so on. And as it moved on to automation, which has now become more important. Robotics, all these areas have become more important, and these are the challenges ahead. Thanks very much for all of you all being here, and I must welcome our principal. We are very fortunate to have with us Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy, who is the chairman, NASSCOM, and founder and executive chairman, Science, and Mr. VS Sridhar, vice president, India Enterprises Sales, Tata Communication.
Thank you very much, sir, for setting the tone for the summit.
After the welcome address, the event witnessed high-powered speeches from eminent personalities from the BPM sector.
We're talking all about is change. In the last 20 years, or say 25 years, what we have seen is also a change which has been largely driven by technology. Technology which has been the disruptor in creating many new businesses around the world. Many new examples that have come all around the world. The books have disappeared, the camera rolls have disappeared. But the key thing I want all of you to recognize is that the driver for this is one thing called technology. And it's this technology which created the industry called IT outsourcing. The key driver for IT outsourcing industry was a high-speed bandwidth availability that enabled customers from all around the world to start moving jobs towards people as opposed to move people towards the jobs. That's how the outsourcing industry was born. Through again a disruption led by technology which made this feasible. Let me conclude by saying that there's a great future ahead. The industry acknowledges these changes and is gearing towards them. We all recognize there is a challenge at this point of time to regroup ourselves, reskill ourselves, redesign ourselves, reinvigorate ourselves, and revamp our companies. NASSCOM, as I said, is running a multiple strategies, and just not to make sure that we serve our customers, but I think we believe that in the next 10 years, we'll transform our customers and become champions in front of them. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Let's have a warm round of applause. Please help me welcome on stage Mr. VS Sridhar to present the industry address.
In today's day and age, it's increasingly difficult for companies to compete just on product and pricing. It's no longer just a good product and pricing. We're talking about a much more holistic way of addressing the customers, the customer experience. It starts right from the moment the customer is aware of the company. He's on the web, he's searching for you. The experience starts then and goes on until the entire life cycle of the customer. So if customer service is a key differentiator, then the customer experience has to be looked at really holistically. They say that first impressions count. And this is where this contact industry has such an important role to play. 80% of all the customers retain their first impressions with any company. So that's very, very important. And that's a key role that we are playing here. And of course, here's where the contact center makes a difference. Thank you and have a wonderful and rewarding event.
Let's have a warm round of applause. Please help me welcome on stage Mr. Keshav Murugesh.
I think at this table, all the CEOs of the BPM companies, we see only one phenomena, and that is opportunity. And I want to talk about, that opportunity and the huge impact this business has made and is going to make in the long term for the country and for everyone who is engaged with this business. We actually use technology, we use cloud, we leverage social media and grow our business. And look what we have done. Instead of competing with different countries, we have added all these countries into the borders or the shores of India. So what we have done is we have actually added on all these other countries and leveraged the best that each of these countries can deliver. And this is the true global BPM model. It is not the old BPO model. So with those words, I want to welcome all of you, welcome our panel, and I'm hoping that all of you have a great day today. Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda was a power-packed panel discussion on the topic, the Indian advantage driving business value in the new service ecosystem, which was followed by the book launch of the BPM White Book 2015-16.
Let's firstly have an enthusiastic round of applause to welcome all our panel members, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to request Mr. Shailesh to please take it over from here.
You've been a veteran of this industry. You've seen this industry evolve over the past many years. If I had to ask you to pick, one thing that the customers are now asking you to do differently, vis-a-vis, what it was 5 years ago, what would you pick? And in the same vein, if there's one thing that stayed the same, I'm sure, there will be few that must have stayed the same, but if there's one thing that stayed the same, which one would you pick?
So in terms of what customers are asking more about or more for is, I would say, and a lot of it influenced by us, is they are asking us for more thinkers and less doers, right? That is one. And in terms of what has stayed the same is, I think, outstanding operational excellence is a given requirement, right? And I think the fact that all of us deliver so well to our clients that we allow them to sleep well at night, is the basis on which they're able to make that big leap of faith.
Got it. From an operation standpoint, what do you think has changed? Operationally, what do you need to do different today than, what you were doing, a few years ago?
Couple of things have really changed in the last few years, maybe 7-8 years or so. One is we've been focused as operations. We've been focused in this industry as operations in terms of two things. One is operations discipline, and second one is customer service. But however, the shift has really happened in the last few years, and of course we are in that journey right now, is that it's no more about operations discipline, which is given, as you rightly said, and it's not about customer service, which is obviously also given at this stage, but it is about two things that are driving this, in fact, three things. So talent, technology, and customer experience are driving force these days for this operations in our view.
Is how you would orient the operations. Yeah. What would you say, in terms of where the industry is headed and where, the next pockets of growth are likely to be?
So I think across the world today we have smartest, youngest, digital savvy workforce available with us, which was never the case in last 10-15 years. So companies have adopted to the digital ecosystem, and they are able to, respond to the opportunities which have come from just being a tech support company. Now companies are changing to a social media support company. So healthcare is another area. But, to take a step back and to take it, the outcome-based pricing has also changed the whole gamut, where from just being a service provider, today you are an advisor or a consulting partner with your customer, where you can go and add value to not only his bottom line, but also to his top line.
Sure.
So things have kind of really changed.
So you're more tightly integrated with, the customers than you have been in the past.
Yes.
Let me also talk about a little bit of, what digital is doing, at least in some of the other enterprises, and this notion once again of automation, productivity, non-linear programming. pick a word. What's your take on automation, productivity?
Let's take social. Because of social, today, omni-channel marketing has become the norm, which means that whether a customer is calling you on email, on voice, on Facebook, or on calling you, you have to have an integrated approach. So if digital was not there, we would just have you call the call center, yes or no. Today we have omni-channel marketing, we've integrated all these processes. So what has happened, Sailesh, is the nature of the business has changed, but the business has become more sticky, the business has become more high value, and the business is providing greater customer experience.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you got, some interesting tidbits, examples. Thank you very much.
Indian BPOs are focused on guiding their clients in a digital era where the name of the game is automation, and it gives us, that's the Team Business World, immense pleasure to present to you the BPOs of the future with our BPM White Book that celebrates the success and stories of our business leaders. All right, let's all come together with a thunderous round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, as we present you the second annual edition of the BPM White Book.
Time for a short break, but there's a lot more coming up from the Business World's second BPM India Summit 2015. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching the Business World's second BPM India Summit 2015. After the power-packed panel discussion, there were a set of presentations. Sandeep Mehra spoke on the topic Evolving Customer Collaboration Models. Take a look.
Next speaker with the presentation, Mr. Sandeep Mehra, members as well.
Just to kick it off, does anybody know what this statistic 88% means?
So you're seeing a massive transformation happening in the world of customer experience, and that's driven fundamentally by a next generation customer experience that the consumers and customers are demanding. And really, if you go back in time, you had typically differentiation that customers did by looking at price, you had product, but today if a customer wants or a company wants to look at really differentiating the crowd, it is through being able to drive a unique and completely differentiated business model and a new customer experience.
Chetan Hingu from Hewlett Packard presented on new style of IT enabling virtualization of BPO customers.
We represent in HP, as you could see that HP is one of the largest IT company, and we have all building blocks of infrastructure within IT, which is server, storage, networking, thin clients, workstation. And what we at HP feel that BPM industry, which is doing a fabulous job with respect to deploying latest and cutting edge technology infrastructure, and they are going through some of the key aspect which they would be looking at, which is a space saving or a power saving, and yet using a cutting edge technology. What in the form of thin client client virtualization architecture, what we feel is we have at HP, which could be a great help to a BPM industry. So we thought that we'll come here and talk about that particular IT building block.
The event witnessed an engaging discussion on topics related to enhancing customer experience. Eminent people from the BPM sector were seen participating in the panel discussion.
Let's have an energetic round of applause to welcome all our fabulous panel members. With that, I'd like to hand over the proceedings to our session moderator, Mr. Viral Thakur. Over to you, sir.
Welcome once again to the panel discussion. And now, sir, maybe I'd like to start with you. As you work with your clients, what are some of the areas that are emerging as top functional areas?
So from voice, we have moved across to more multi-channel and then an omni-channel kind of an experience where we allow customers to reach out to us through various channels. In the omni-channel experience, we need to train people to ensure that they are equipped to work across the board. And of course, then the whole technology piece, in terms of how do we enable the omni-channel piece across, having a CRM, and how do we look at, ensuring that the delivery is met pretty much across the board.
How have you observed changes in consumer demand or customer demand for service?
I think there is a set of customers who are metro, who are, very literate, whose expectation levels are different. Then there are customers in B category cities, in villages, whose expectations are different. So when you're doing this magic to customers, I think you have to understand that the first level of customer experience is about, in the Maslow hierarchy, first meet the basic needs and meet it nicely. In urban, you would deal in social media, you will deal in, in the various advanced methods of communication with those customers. In the villages and big town category towns, expectation is multi-language. Expectation is a lot of face-to-face. They would love to go to a shop, interact with the retailer, and get the services done there. So while we leverage the social media, we leverage all other channels, but we are adding retail as one of the channels into this whole omni-channel piece, which is quite a new thing that we are seeing. And I think if you look at India, a lot of, we have about 6 lakh retailers who are serving customers. I think you need to add that channel into which was never used as a channel for customer service.
How are you constantly, revisiting or redefining your own business model? And also importantly, with all these new technologies, smack, right? So social, mobile, analytics, cloud, etc. How are you leveraging some of those to, again, further deliver on the customer promise?
Sure. We are doing whatever it takes, using analytics, trying to move from reactive-based servicing to proactive-based servicing. We are taking a lot of triggers in the which, from the way consumers are doing things. So which is understanding the entire journey very deeply. And from there, we are finding out how can I predict. So it's like segmented. We want to sort of move to n is equal to 1. As of now, I am like in the stage of n is equal to 100. We would want to move in the stage where we can define what individual consumer preferences are and be able to capture that information to different ways that they have interacted with us in the past. Try and create those clusters. So that's how the entire technology is changing. So the communication engine that we design is not just about content and design. It is also about customer context, intelligence, preference, timing preferences, language preferences, design preferences, etc. So that's the model.
So what are some other thoughts on how can one implement something like this, and what are some of the things that it takes to get there?
Yes, Viral. So when we started off the customer experience function in Tata Communications, we looked at various frameworks that are available, and there are too many when it comes to looking at telecom from a B2B construct. And that's when we sort of put something together that seems to be working for us. One, we had to take a complete outside-in approach. Okay, and what is currently in vogue or really making waves is really the journey mapping exercise, because we were very clear that customer experience is not just about delivery assurance and billing. It starts, and as Sridhar mentioned in the morning, it starts even when the customer is just about contemplating, exploring what to do or who to consider. So we looked at a 360-degree approach from a customer life cycle perspective, doing journey mappings. And in the journey mapping exercise, we really put the voice of the customer as front and center. The framework leads you to specific areas across the customer life cycle that you got to focus on. Now, typically, when you get down to execution, it becomes an interplay of 4 clear vectors. That's the policy, the technology and automation, the process, and lastly, the people element. Now, the final customer experience is really an interplay on these two. While technology over a period of time is available and all of that, I call out policy and people as 2 very key differentiating elements.
I'd like to thank the fellow panelists for all the insights and knowledge that you shared with the group.
Thank you so much.
The discussion explored all the possible ways to stay ahead in the BPM outsourcing space. It's time for us to take a short break, but you don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching the Business World's second BPM India Summit 2015. The final panel discussion of the day focused on building a multi-channel delivery model for the future. Here's a look.
The final discussion of the day revolved around the need for business processes that allow the organization to adapt quickly to evolving markets, customer needs and business models. The eminent speakers gave their inputs, making it an insightful discussion for all present.
Tata Communications' global network infrastructure reaches more than 240 countries and territories globally. In fact, 24% of all internet travels on Tata Communications infrastructure. 1 in every 10 voice calls globally is on this infrastructure. InstaCC Global has been created as a platform to deliver an omni-channel experience for the customers, since customers can come in multiple channels, be it voice, video or web. This is an important platform on the cloud where customers can scale or even be very flexible about it and roll it out very quickly. So this gives all those kinds of facilities for the customers.
I think very important about is that we have to look at it both from a customer-centric point of view as well as an internal-centric point of view. And what I mean by that is customer is at the cusp of it. As we go in to get in these new customers, it is not just about customer experience, the customer experience that we have traditionally thought about. Traditionally, we used to think that if a customer can get access to us anytime, anywhere, that's a good customer experience, which will wow them. It is now about giving a seamless experience, whether through multiple channels or whether through one entire end-to-end transaction. So it's about looking at it slightly differently than we have done in the past. So the customer-centric view is important, and so is the internal view important, because we have to change the way we have done business in the past. We have had more organizations with large divisions, clunky back-end operations, where just to get back with a response to the customer who came through a web-enabled channel could still take time. So the way we operate today has to change. And one important aspect that I today brought out was about design thinking. I think we need to get in with the concept, a completely changed concept where we need to step back, strategize, because design thinking is nothing but talking about innovation with human-centric design ethos, which is all about customer centricity. So today's topic was so relevant, and I think all my panelists as well, we kind of brought in the same point of view, that we have to look at it more holistically as our customers are also evolving in this journey.
Well, the start of the process, before the process even starts, every company today has a set of platforms and IT technology at play here. And so therefore, to give an end-to-end experience, the service provider has to be able to address all these issues, on an end-to-end basis. So when the technology discussion starts about what platforms the customer wants to use, whether they want to standardize the platform, they want to remove the number of instances, they want to go to a single ERP instance, you need people who can have that adult conversation with customers. And then when the conversation shifts to where you're going to store your data, is it going to be in the company, is it going to be outsourced or in a cloud solution? Again, you need to have people who can talk about infrastructure, and then you need to be able to deliver that service. And that's when the BPO element creeps in. But what the customer really is interested is not these siloed offerings. What they're looking for is an end-to-end offering so that they can talk to one provider who can give them this whole end-to-end customer experience as I talked about.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but the event truly lived up to the theme, charting the next generation customer service experience. We hope it left you with some ideas to apply to your own organization. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.